to. So it's
and that's
so important.
and we need to be working with both the perpetrators and the victims. We can't exclude
totally
one
agree.
for that because it comes together as a circle. You know, we can't just be focusing on you know, the perpetrators and ignoring the victims, but equally we can't just focus on victims and ignore the perpetrators, because it's a vicious circle and the two work together. So we have to be supporting our young people in so many different ways.
So what I want to jump in and just say then, if anyone has questions or does want to make a comment, just to be aware, we have gone live, so we're live streaming. So Clarissa, if you could send the link into the group so people can, oh, you've already done that, thank you. It's just, please, you can private message me and I can see what your question is, and then literally you can speak. But we're here today, and thank you for everyone that's listening through Facebook, is obviously because of the tragic death of a young man that's happened in our city. We thought it was important to just facilitate a roundtable to just talk about how can we better safeguard our young people. We've heard from Leon Moses, who's the project manager at the MAD project, which stands for Making a Difference, and also with colleagues from Birmingham Say No. So we're really here just really trying to look at solutions, our parents and even practitioners. So Leon, could you just recap for those who are listening online on some of the principles that you've said? And please, guys, if you've got questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try and get them out.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Leon again from MAD Birmingham. So as Nathan just said, MAD Birmingham stands for Make a Difference Birmingham. And some of the key things we look to focus on when we're working with young people is the home environment, school environment, and the community, so the wider community, and find out what it is that's going on. So we offer mentoring, peer mentoring, we offer volunteering. So we have a scheme where we work in the holidays, summer provisions, half-term provisions, where young people can volunteer, young people can attend. So we have a scheme from participant, volunteer to sessional. So we're offering opportunities. I know it's hard for a lot of young people to get finances, but some of the things that I'm finding with young people is they find that they don't have no one to talk to or no one to listen to them. I work in PRUs, that's referral units, behaviour units, where young people have been permanently excluded, where society have deemed them worthless, no one wants to know them. And the one thing that we do at MAD is we show these young people that we care for them, that there is somebody that is here for you. And all our team, they've gone through their own experiences, so a lot of the young people can relate to them, so they can see themselves in them. And I think that's one of the most important things. Young people need to trust people before they can open up. And if they trust you, then they'll tell you everything and they'll explain what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, there's always a reason why a young person is acting up or spiraling out of control. It could be because of what they've been exposed to. It could be because of their experience. It could be because they're coming from poverty. It could be because that's all they know, or it could be that they're scared. I'm working with young people from Newtown, Aston, Handsworth, and they've never been to Handsworth, or they've never even been out of Birmingham, or they've never even been to town by themselves. That the young people, they are lost. And a lot of people say, oh, it's the music, it's the music. Yeah, the music does play a part, but the young people are easily influenced by what they see. So social media, not having the funds. It's so important that young people and parents talk and communicate. Now, one thing that I noticed, and I can say from my own personal experience, when you live at home or when you're a young person at home, there's 2 young people. So there's a young person that's in the house and there's a young person that's outside the house. You can't see what they're doing outside the house, who they're with, what they're up to. You only know the young person that's in the house. So when we're seeing on Instagram, Facebook, oh, my son's gone missing. Has anyone seen my child? My child's gone away for a week. Then your child's 9 times out of 10 gone county lines. And then you think, why didn't they speak to me? Why didn't they say what's going on? It's so important that our young people have role models. If you're a single parent or if you're a parent and you can't speak to your child, find someone who can. It could be a teacher, it could be a mentor, it could be a sports facilitator, it could be a coach, it could be a youth worker, it could be Tom who lives across the road, it could be their father, it could be their grandparents, but all young people, male, female, need someone to talk to. They can't live with their demons inside. Like, no young person should think that they're alone. They always need a support or some form of support mechanism to help them and to really make a difference and to make an impact as well, because young people just need to know that someone cares for them and that somebody is there for them. And it doesn't have to be mum, it doesn't have to be dad, it could be anybody that's care, genuine, and got a real purpose for that young person.
Thank you so much, Leon. Really, really helpful. I'm going to ask one of our previous guest speakers. I'm going to come to you, Gus, as well. Rev, who's here, who's a resident of Handsworth, just to share his thoughts in terms of what can we do as a community to better safeguard our young people from your perspective. Rev, just to remind you that we are live streaming on Facebook, so please be very mindful on what you say or don't say. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Yo, man is saying, yo, I had their face in the camera while the live streaming. Can you hear everyone saying, yo, big up, Skips? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so we was just sitting here. I'm sitting here with couple of the guys in it. So we was just talking about it and that. And to be honest, from my perspective anyway, my thing is this. I think there needs to be a lot more done from the parents' point of view, as in we all know what's going on. You get me? And we all understand that it's kind of out of control. So you can't be afraid to tell your youth, yo, you need to come off the road. You get me? Like,
yeah,
the kids shouldn't be hanging out on the road during these times, especially knowing that there's been all this tick for tack shootings and things like that. Yeah, can you hear me? Can you see me still?
Yeah, I can hear. I'm listening. We're just listening. Yeah, I'm listening. So what do you think in terms of safeguarding?
Yeah, so
one of the things we were saying, Rev, and this is, I'm going to put a challenge to you because you're an artist. For those who don't know, as an artist, member of the community. And one of the things that we was having a conversation earlier today was like, you know what, I got to apologize because the music is having an influence. And we know that there's a lot of stuff without naming anything because we don't want to incriminate people. The police have to go and do their investigation. But there's a lot of chatter on social media that could actually have predicted and told you that something like this was going to come or was going to happen. So how can, for parents who are not aware of all the stuff that's happening on social media, how can they better safeguard their children from your perspective?
See, okay, so the music things in a different part, all part of the same picture, but it's like it's a different part. For the music part, I think the music channels need to take more responsibility for it as well. Like, and I wasn't a fan of that because I don't want to. Because I do music as well, I know how important it can be to an artist to get your message out. Sometimes it's therapy, it's therapeutic to just be able to just speak about all the stress that you're going through, especially when you ain't got no one else to speak to. But the reality is there's a section of the music that is very damaging and it's inciting a lot of things. And I didn't want to be the one to say that, but I have to admit it now. We're seeing the effects of it. So I think I'm not saying it should be totally cut off or anything like that, but I feel like there needs to be more of a responsibility from these, because people somewhere are making money from that. Somewhere there's a radio station who's making money from tragedy music. I'm gonna call it. You get me? So I feel like either to do something about the type of things that are getting recorded there, or the big radio stations shouldn't be profiting from it. They should say, well, this music shouldn't be, the radio station itself shouldn't profit from it.
So what would you say in terms of,
because it's perpetual.
It makes total sense. So in question around safeguarding, Rev, you might want to come off the window as well because you're silhouetting quite well. But what would you say to parents who are in Handsworth and in areas like Newtown, Lozells? What was some of the key advice based on being, you know some of the stuff that's happening on the ground? What would you say to them? Could we may have parents that are listening in now, practitioners are listening and thinking, God, what can we do more to practically safeguard the children? And when I'm saying safeguarding, I'm talking about saving a life.
Yeah, you should say it, man. Fuck that. Say it, bro. Say it, bro. Say it, bro. You get me? I got, yeah. So basically, one of the guys, I'm trying to get him on camera, but he doesn't want to be on camera. Is saying, pay more attention to their kids and what's going on, because even this incident, I'm hearing now that it possibly could have started over the internet.
Yeah.
Beefing over the internet and all them things there. So pay more attention to what your kids are doing, who they're engaging with. Like, I remember, you see, back in the days, my parents and that would have wanted to know everything I was doing, like where I was, who I was with. Like they're in your room. They'd know if I had something in my room. You get me? Because they like that. So, but nowadays it's like they don't care. The parents literally don't care. You get me? As long as they're okay, they don't care. So it's like at minimum, pay more attention to what your kids are doing, engage more. And this is a thing that I've always said, because I had a few incidents where I've approached men with their kids and I've asked the kid, like, yo, have you got your shank on you? And the man's thinking I'm joking. And then their kids backed out a shank in front of them. And the pops is like, and I'm like, bro, you've never asked him.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't know because you've never asked him, because you feel like you don't need to ask him. But this kid, exactly, and this kid here is innocent. So, but if he had got certain speaking to, I'm not saying that this was preventable, but I'm saying if you speak to them about being aware of environments, what's going on, current situations and that, then at least they know, okay, you know what, when I go outside, be careful, or how about don't go outside, or you know what, all this is going on in the area.
Have they got beef with anyone?
Yeah, even simple like that. Have you got beef with anyone? Like even a simple question like that. A man saying, ask them.
So let's. That's a fantastic. Whoever said that, yeah, that's a phenomenal question that parents need to be asking the children or young people. Do you or have you got beef with anybody? Why is that question so important?
Why is it so important? Because it opens the doors. Like, for instance, if there is a problem, and because a lot of parents know each other, even on opposite sides of the fence, a lot of them actually grew up together. So sometimes that alone can open up a door to say, who? So-and-so's your son. Yo, come, we're going to go to that house, or that house is coming to us. Or you don't even know that's your cousin. The man of your cousins. Even something as simple as that, you can literally break down arguments and scenarios, or prevent them before it actually happens.
Fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause you and come back to you. Thank you for that. I think you've said some like serious gems there. Really, really, really helpful. I'm going to ask Gus to come in. Clarice, can you unmute Gus, please, to support his comment in? And then we'll come back to you, Rev, if anything. Thanks for that. That really, really good.
All right. Just mute my mic.
Hey, Nathan.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, bless you, sir. First of all, condolences to the family, man. Someone I actually personally know, and know the family very well. So it's really, this one's really close to home, and it's kind of really hard. My name is Augustus. I'm the founder of Setting the Captives Free Ministries, motivational speaker, and also a mentor and peer mentor.
Yeah.
Prior to the lockdown, I've done a lot of work in going to prisons and speaking with young men who are on the roads, who are walking with shanks and everything else. And two of the things that really came out when speaking to some of these young men, the first thing was, it's almost like they was at home, but they felt like they had no family. The dad's not there, the mom's constantly out working, so they're just by themselves, and it's almost like they had no one to talk to, and it's almost like they craved the family, even though they was in a family, and they went out on road and sought it, and they got it from someone else. And the other thing that came up was a lot of these young men, they felt that they was allowed to grow up way too fast. Even though they wanted to kind of be a big man, because, like, you're always hearing the phrase, I'm a big man, I'm a big man, but yet they're only 13 or only 14. Okay. And some of the parents have allowed them to grow up way too quick before their time. And it's almost like a lot of the youth that I spoke to, their parents allowed them to do that, even though they just wanted to be children. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to come to a point where families, parents, when they're seeing their youth kind of trying to grow too fast or be the big man and pretend to be the big man, we have to kind of rein them back in and saying, listen, man, you're a child, just enjoy your childhood, enjoy being 11, enjoy being 12, instead of trying to be, 19, 20 and be something that they're not. Yeah.
Wow. Gus, that's really, really powerful perspective. Is there anything else you want to say? I'm going to go to Rachel next. Rachel, if you can pick up some of the comments in the chat, that would be really good. Is there anything else you want to say, Gus?
Yeah, obviously homes are, it's a difficult situation. And I think someone said it already, a lot of the young, they need role models. Sometimes, yeah, a lot of the dads aren't in the homes, and it's going to take other people, other uncles, other men to step up when they're seeing their youths acting away on the road. I mean, recently, yeah, I saw some youths wants to kick down an old man because they were looking at him too hard. The man's an old man, he's got a walking stick.
Yeah.
Right? And I had to tell them, listen, he's an old man. Why are you going to want to kick down an old man for? So it's going to take for some of us as men, some of us who are uncles, some of us who are grandfathers or whatever, as a man, when you see certain young men acting a certain way, when you see some of the youths carrying away on the road, just pull them to the side and talk to them. Because sometimes, you're right, they're not being spoken to.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think the reason why they're not being spoken to, because there's a big fear factor that happens out there. But I think you've said some amazing points, and I hope people are listening. Obviously, we're live streaming this, and people who are listening through this, the link to this is in the chat. Just please share it, because it's an important conversation. But what I'm going to do, Gus, I'm going to go to Rachel. And Rachel, is there any comments? Because I'm seeing the comments. The chat is just literally buzzing. Is there anything that you want to just pick up quick, Rachel?
Absolutely. I think some of the comments, to be fair, Nathan, kind of reiterate what both Rev and Augustus have said. There's a big issue a lot of people in the chat have mentioned about young people feeling they're not being listened to. And again, as Leon said at the beginning, do we actually listen to our young people? There's a real kind of, when it comes to music, for example, there's a real kind of heaviness around the music, music's to blame, drill music's to blame, etc., etc. But the only thing I can say, not in defense of the violence within that music, but music is reality. It's a way that a lot of young men particularly speak. It's how they share their feelings. When they are, kind of reciting these lyrics in their music, it's how they're speaking from their heart and sharing their pain. And often because people don't listen, who do they speak to? They can't speak to the teacher if they don't engage well with parents. A lot of our young people just generally feel that they're not being listened to. And I think that's a big concern. Irene's mentioned that she's a teacher and that she's heard this several times from students that, they just feel there is no one to turn to. Often, we talk about parents as well. We spoke a lot about parents and engaging parents, but again, if parents either feel they can't engage with their young people or they can't control their young people for whatever reason, that then leads those young people out to find role models in other places, doesn't it? So it's, quite easy for us to all sit back and judge and say, oh yeah, blame the parents. But it's not always that easy for parents to manage children as well. There's just so many different layers about it. Social media has come up as well.
Yeah.
The social
Is there anything else?
aspect.
Yeah. Karen, sorry.
I was going to say, Simone's mentioned, kind of hearing young people that are on social media till 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Are we monitoring what they're doing and who they're talking to? The answer, quite frankly, is no. My own son fell victim to a situation that arose from social media. I consider myself to be a good parent. I know where he is all the time. I know what he's doing, but he still nearly ended up getting stabbed to death as a result of something that happened on social media. So are we actually safeguarding our children to the full capacity? The answer is no. And, there's so many issues around that.
And that's the scary part, because I'm reading all these comments and I'm listening to everything that everyone says. And even every time that you post an article online about something that's happened, it's always parents, it's the parent, I blame the parent, and I'm kind of like, you don't know the individual circumstances, and it's kind of, there's too much put on, single parent families and this, that. Well, I'm a single parent family. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's, it's just so frustrating. It's kind of, do you blame the parents? Do you just blame the young person? Do you blame their friend? It's kind of like, it'll just go on forever. I blame, basically, I'm blaming society. Society has led to, society has stopped the young people mixing in social clubs, youth clubs, this, that, and the other. They've closed everything down. Young people are just so forgotten. in everything. They're not cared about, they're forgotten. You know, young people don't suffer from mental health issues. Yes, they do. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like young people don't suffer from loneliness. Yes, they do. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that's why, you know yourself, Rachel, you know, the reason behind Birmingham Says No is as a voice for young people, because they're just not being heard. And we've met young people, we've met parents, and complete family units, broken family units, with you know, we're not to say perfect, lovely kids. It's just, oh, it just breaks my heart.
I'm going to come back to Leon and just ask you to jump in, Leon, and just really talk about, because in the chat, the comments that are coming up is around your young person having two identities. So can you just really talk a bit about that, Leon, again, just to reiterate, because for those who missed that point, and just why that's important to understand that we have the young person that's in the house that parents probably see, but then there's another profile or image that many young people have.
Yeah, Nathan, it's something that we work on with parents, and we work in the schools as well. So your child in the home, like we said, two identities. It's like Batman, you know, two identities. So what happens in the house is the good child, or she's the good child. You won't know what they're up to. You ask them to do something, house, school. You just think, you know, that's my child. But when they're outside, they're a different child. They could be getting involved in criminal activity, exploitation, grooming. Like, so I'm saying, as a parent, how do I know what to look for? Well, if you're the parent and you're buying your child clothes, like I'm seeing kids wearing Moncler coats. Some of these coats cost £1,500. I don't own a Moncler coat. So if your child's coming home with a Moncler coat and you didn't buy it, you need to be asking the questions. You need to be challenging your children. Some of the shoes that the kids are wearing, and I'm not talking about the Gucci, you're talking about the red bottom. Some of them shoes cost £1,800, £3,000. If your child is walking in the house with those shoes on, you need to be challenging. If you didn't buy it, they didn't receive it as a present, you need to be challenging. You need to be seeing who your friends, your sons or your children's friends are. You need to be looking at their peer group. So that way you can make change. I used to be about, oh yeah, I want to change lives, but it's about saving lives. It's about giving young people opportunities, speaking to them and listening. It's so important that the young people's voice is heard, so they don't turn to the wrong person, because then a young person will become vulnerable and end up going OT or being a runner for someone else. And I know I'm probably being a bit harsh. I know I'm being a bit harsh, but I just have to be real with it.
Leon, just for those who because you've got parents that are probably just hearing so many
what
does
OT? OT means out of town. It means county line. So lately we've been seeing on Facebook, Instagram, oh, my child's missing. Has anyone seen Adam? Has anyone seen Stephen? And the child's gone missing for about a week, 5 days. They're coming home. Now, some of you don't probably know some of the stuff that the young people have gone through. When a young person's gone out of town, they've gone trapping, they've gone county lines, that means they've gone to a crack house. That means they haven't ate. If they're there for a week, they haven't ate properly, or they haven't even been toilet. They haven't washed as well. I've picked up young people from crack houses, and they smell. They're dirty. They haven't washed. And the first thing they say to me is, don't tell my mom. Don't tell my parents. Even when I have to act as an appropriate adult, the first thing that these young people say is, don't tell my parents. I don't want my mom to know, or I don't want my dad to know. Like, so a lot of these parents don't know what their children are doing. They don't know what's going on. Now, I'm a father of 5. Again, my heart goes out to the young man who lost his life. I don't know what it's like to bury a child, but it must be the worst feeling. And I think as a community, we have to say enough is enough. We need to be doing more stuff like this, coming together. Back in my day, it took a village to raise a child. Like, if I saw one of my mum's friends and I was up to no good, I'd have to hide, I'd have to duck. But the youths nowadays are just brave. It's like, they don't care. You have to really challenge them, or you have to say, like, what's wrong, big man? Why are you doing this? You have to make them think outside of the box.
Fantastic, Leon. Thank you so much. I really want to thank everyone that's here with us. Just for those who are watching us through live stream, I just want to give you a snapshot of some of the work that we have been doing in our city, because we have been doing this stuff. It's not just yesterday that we started to do this type of work. So I'm just literally going to quickly share a few slides with those who are probably just joining now, just to talk about our project. The project is active. It happens every Monday, 7 till 8. We do it in partnership with Birmingham Say No. We've been doing the online version of our project for literally since August. And thankfully to the VRU, we've been able to extend it through the Winter Contingency Fund. And we've been having these conversations And I guess one of the things that really frustrates me is that it takes for tragedy to happen where people get really behind this type of stuff. And we need to understand that young people's lives matter 24 hours a day. It matters all the time. And that we can't just drop the ball or only be interested because we're connected to family members. It's like I said briefly in the getting ready for this, is that I actually know the person. I know someone who's like a brother to me, whose family member it is. And it makes it more real to me, but it didn't stop me from putting this on anyway before I even knew it was their family, because this is what the community needs. But it's like, even in the group that we're a part of, there was no activity. I put the message in about youth violence happened. No one said anything. But once people have realized it's someone who everyone knows, family member, then people are talking and offering condolences and saying, oh, you know, doing the comments. We can't wait until we realize that we're connected. Like, don't wait until this stuff knocks on your door. So as a charity, we're here to do 3 key things: is to help reduce youth violence, improvement to health resilience amongst young people, and connect young people to their purposes. For anyone that's listening, please follow us on our socials, on Twitter, Instagram, FC Nation UK. There's a lot of ambitions and, you know, areas that we want to have an influence on. But ultimately, what we're about is trying to save young people from the fire. So I'm literally going to ask, has anyone got a question in the chat function that they want to ask? Because we've got Leon with us still, we've still got Rev, we've got our colleagues, Rachel and Dee from Birmingham say no. Natalie, I can see that you're here as well, one of our guest speakers who speaks on the program. And Natalie, please just DM me if there's anything you want to say. Please, please, please. And Natalie, I'm just going to come to you actually. I'm going to ask you to mute. And is there anything you just want to say, Natalie, very quickly? So.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's really just agreeing everything what Leon said, what Gus has said, Dee, Rachel. It's all about us trying to really listen to our young people and not judge. And Leon said it's so nice. It's about looking beyond behaviour. Like Leon and I work in pupil referral units, and when you really talk to these kids and you hear about the stories and the things that they're experiencing in their world, if any of us were in that world, you know what, our behaviour would go. And they need people to be there, to show them, to give them, as Dee's put in the comments, that they're worth it and that life is worth it and they've got something. And it's us all coming together as a community, listening, engaging these young people and saying to them, you know, not demonising at them, not demonising their behaviour, but saying, we need to be here for you. We need to give you that reason that you don't need to turn to
Natalie, in 1 minute, for those who don't know, you've never seen your face and thinking, who's this pretty young white lady talking about youth violence? Like, why are you in this world now, and what happened to you quickly?
Yeah, so coming up to 5 years ago, my world blew up and I became the victim of a very violent stabbing. It was an attempted murder. And I was 8 months pregnant at the time. Medically, I shouldn't be here. It hit all my major organs, outside part of my heart, lung, diaphragm, liver, you name it. And due to various factors, I am here. It kind of spanned my world around, made me look at all the different factors that go on in the world, life after trauma. And so I now work a lot with young people talking about the reality of knife crime, and also studying to become a specialist working with gangs and youth violence, which I know Rachel has done a similar course and has her expertise. She's ahead of me with all of that, and I think Nathan, you have as well. So it's become my world, and it's made me sort of see, you know, it doesn't matter what background we come from or anything else, we've all got a part to play. And people, especially from societies that I've been part of, tend to distance themselves. And it's like, no, sorry, we're all responsible for this. We're all responsible to make life worth it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalie, for your contribution, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. Really, really appreciate you. Awesome. Rev and Leon, do you have any comments that you want to say before we're going to get ready to wrap up? Tanaya should be here literally in a second, so I'm going to ask him to say something in a bit. But is there anything else that you want to say, guys, before I go to Tanaya? So, while I'm going to go to Tanaya, I want to just go back to this presentation quickly before Tanaya speaks. Tanaya, get ready, because we're coming to you next. Is that ultimately what we're trying to do is save young people from the fire. The thing that I really wanted to put to everyone is that we do have one-to-one support. So if anybody knows young people who have been affected by last night's incident, we do have mentors on hand that you can refer into and have very robust programs that we're getting really good results and just helping them think about their life, just a space to deal with a lot of stuff. Dee, I know, and Rachel, we've had some amazing testimony, especially from the work that Avril's been doing as well, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember off your head quickly of like some of the kind of testimonies we've got from the one-to-one support?
I know a couple of them we've referred for various reasons, but I know a couple of them have been self-harming and suicide referrals, and now so pleased to say that those young people have really turned a corner and are seeing things in a much more positive light, able to access mental health services as well. There was a young man that had been a victim himself of knife crime, worked with Avril for several weeks, and was suffering with serious levels of anxiety, really. And now he's able to kind of go out a little bit more, and he's starting to feel more confident about himself and found ways of dealing with that anxiety. So there's some amazing work going on behind the scenes, absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you, Rachel. So please, if you know young people, please refer them to the one-to-one. Well, I'm going to go over to a colleague, Tanaya Sam, who is an author and founder of TSA Project Sports and Education, CIC. Tanaya, hopefully you're there in order, the technology is working. Well, the question we're asking this afternoon is, what can parents and even practitioners do to better safeguard our young people?
Hi, everyone. And if anyone knows young Keon, condolences. It's very sad circumstances. I think what I would say is you have conversations. I know many of you are, but continuously and even more so, have conversations with young people, and for young people to feel comfortable to be able to speak to adults. A lot of the times, young people will know when stuff are going on the streets, and us adults, we're going to our jobs and taking care of the kitchen and cleaning up the house and not really aware that there's actually young people that are riding out looking for each other, and there's been tick for tack back and forth over the weeks. But young people, when we're speaking to young people, they will be able to say, yeah, well, actually such and such happened, because through their way they communicate via social media, a lot of this stuff is broadcasted. And by having the information and knowing that things are taking place on the streets, you will know more so to keep your children indoors and being more aware of where your young people are. We without a doubt expect retaliations from the yesterday's situation, and as usual, it tends to be individuals that are not actually involved that are the victims of these serious violent offences. So I would just say, just speak to your young people and communicate with those within the community that are working with young people. There's enough of us, and we're open enough to speak to you and to communicate and just be real and honest in it. For me, the young people that I've spoke to since yesterday, quite a lot to be fair, since yesterday, and it's quite tense at the moment. It's pretty tense for young people on the streets when young people expect retaliation, and because they expect retaliation, that means young people will arm themselves when they go out because they're thinking something can come to them. And we know when they're armed and they get into a little, what you're looking at, you mean what you looking at, then it's a whole next situation from out of nowhere. My battery's gonna die on my face. So I would just say, keep speaking to your young people, keep communicating with them, listen to their fears, listen to their concerns, and be more mindful of where your young people are, especially over this weekend and the next week, because it's tense right now.
Thank you so much, Tanaya. Tanaya, at the present moment, does your organization have any specific services that you could offer today?
we are running a support service for vulnerable young people. So that involves us doing mentoring, one-to-one mentoring, and working with young people in small support bubbles within our centre over in Nichols. So that is taking place more or less on a daily, to be fair. So if there is, we are kind of at capacity, but there is the odd room depending on the case. But I mean, it's just right now, it's quite crazy what's going on and the amount of referrals that we're receiving and the nature behind them. It's sad, man. It's sad. As a person who was involved in that world and just looking back now at it, and it's just really sad, man. But young people, we need young people to know that we're here and that we are listening and we are prepared to support them, and there are other options for them.
Fantastic tonight. I love always. Really appreciate your contribution to this conversation. I believe Davinia or Rev wanted to say something. Are you there?
Hello, yeah, hi Nathan,
How you
and
doing,
hi
sis?
to everybody that's in the group. Yeah, yesterday's situation, amongst a lot of other situations, have obviously devastated our community. But once again, it was just something that Leon was saying, that I wanted to ask in regards to when you do pick up a young person from any such incident or any such house, and when they do say, you know, don't tell my parent or don't tell my guardian or whoever's caring for me at that moment, do you then break that trust and then tell that parent because you need them also to be aware, or do you keep that trust and help that young person? That was a question. And then just to say that, I mean, everybody's saying the exact same things and the right things. D. Kelly, Rachel is saying the right things in regards to there's so much levels that we have to deal with our young people, because it seems like just everything that's coming at them from so much different places. It's you know, it's the TV, it's the computer, and it's the phones, it's the school. It's so unfortunate that our young children can't have you know, the type of lifestyles that we had. As much as there was a level of violence, you know, 20 or 30 years ago, it's just so much more apparent now, and it's so unfortunate for the young people. You know, I have one child, he's 15, so when that incident happened yesterday, I could only but see me sending my child to the shop and him not coming back home, and him being an innocent bystander. But with me also, I have to admit that I'm also not one of those parents who, you know, check the phone every minute or check everything that he's doing. But I'm also one of those parents who have a month-to-month conversation with him about what's happening in school, about what's happening in his life, whether it's to do with girls, whether it's to do with boys, whether it's to do with just online conversations, what types of conversations. I'm also one of those parents who, from a young age, he has been around the community. So whether he's seen things, known things, or didn't know anything, I've made him have some type of balanced life to make sure that he's around people who have been around things and that can already guide him out of that way of life, so that he has a bigger picture in his head already. So again, Leon, I'd really like you to answer that question in regards to whether you do share it with parents. And again, to Nathan, to Tanaya, and to Leon, that we, you know, keep advertising and putting your organizations within those schools, within shops, within chip shops. You know, we don't have community centers anymore that are out there, but we need them. We need these type of services to get to the parents, to get to the guardians, and those ones who are in full-time work and can't be there for their children all the time.
Thank you so much, sis. Really appreciate that. Leon?
Yeah, I'll answer. Good afternoon, Davina. I was trying to wave to say, Nathan, we've got a parent that wants to speak. But in the answer to your question, it just depends. I think with that one, I always box with wisdom. Now, if the young person discloses something and it's something that's happened in the home, or it's something that their parents exposed them to, then no, I'll basically share my views or with the appropriate channels. Now, if depending on the scenario, depending on the case, then yeah, I will speak to the parent about the situation. but it just depends on the sensitiveness of the situation. If it's about, you know, someone's been touched or something's happened in the house where I can't speak to the parent, or the parent's the perpetrator, then no, I won't speak to the parent. But if it's about an issue that I believe the parent can help or can change, then yeah, we'll try and get a meeting. I'll try and coordinate something. I will try and be the negotiator for that. And just to let everyone know as well, Mad Birmingham, we're still offering services online. If you've got a young person that needs support, then I'm able to do doorstep visits or telephone or virtual or just checking in. That's something that I think is very important, that we check in with our young people.
How can people find out, Leon, about your project that just
Okay, then so you can go on Facebook, that's Mad Birmingham. There's a Mad Birmingham page where we've got a lot of practitioners, parents, or you can go on Instagram as well. You can also email me, or you can go to my actual Facebook and send me a message. That's Leon Moses. Awesome. You can find me. It's Mad Birmingham. You can find us. I'm here. I've been doing this for many years.
Thank you, Leon. Tonight in the chat, yeah, Leon. I mean, tonight in the chat, could you also just type in your website and key contact details that people can connect with? I know there's a question. Coming back to you, Rachel. I think Rev wanted to say a last point. We are going to wrap up in a minute. But Rev, are you there? And did you still want to say something? Is he there? Is he gone?
He's there and live. Can see it.
You say what he's going to say then, Rachel, and we'll see if Rev comes in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like Tanaya said, I think it's so important as well that we do as parents.
Because and I'm glad. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't think.
Okay, yeah. So I was just okay. Sorry, there must be a delay on it. I was saying that I was sitting here getting frustrated. Now my frustration is
your signal is
yes,
rubbish.
And I'm glad Tanaya's in the group. Nation was above my. Is it rubbish?
Signal's crap. We can't hear
Hold
you.
on.
Sorry. Get yourself some Wi-Fi, mate.
Yeah, it's because I'm on the road. I'll come back.
Yeah, you get some Wi-Fi, mate. Rachel, continue.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think it's so important that we do utilise these services. I mean, as Leon just said, he's available for parents and young people to speak to. I know, Nathan, that FC Foundation's the same. Rev offers his, will offer his services. Birmingham Says No has the capacity to, put people in touch with mentors and stuff. So it's really important to reach out. The most difficult part is engaging these young people. So as professionals, as parents, if you think there is, a child out there that needs that kind of engagement with someone with lived experience as well, a lot of the people that are offering services on here today are people of lived experience. They've been involved in these circles themselves, so they know exactly how it goes. They're no stranger to it. They are the people that can help the young people that we're talking about right now. So please do take down the names, take down the contact details that are in the chat, and don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us, because we will do our utmost to put your young people in touch with some of these amazing mentors that are available in our city. So please do get in touch with us.
Awesome. I'm going to see if Rev comes back, but thank you so much for that, Rachel, and thank you, Leon. Thank you, everyone that is here. We just wanted to create this space to have a conversation in light of the tragedy that happened in our city. We as an organization are just trying our best, but we do thank those who help resource us to continue the work that we're doing. And yeah, please just help share the word. The Your Life Matters platform is happening it's been happening weekly since August. And as I said earlier, we're able to continue that service thanks to the VRU. But yeah, please guys, in the chat I can see a lot of people networking and sending details. Please network, because it really does take the village to raise a child. I'm going to just ask, before we wrap up, just Errol, Clarice, could you unmute Errol, please? He's just going to share a few thoughts and then we're literally going to close. Errol Lawson.
Hello everybody, can you hear me okay? Coming through okay?
Yeah, can hear you fine.
Good afternoon everybody. Just want to say, not sure what to say really. The incident that happened yesterday, was a little bit closer to home than it ever been before for me and my family. It's my cousin's son, sadly. So we'd solicit the prayers of everybody really for our family on this occasion. Some of you know that for a long time, working in this space, doing mentoring. Personally, now we have programs working in a number of primary schools, working on anti-youth violence projects. We've got secondary school programs running, and I concur with everything that has been said. I do feel a sense of frustration that the conversations seem to be quite repetitive, in that we are often finding ourselves covering the same ground and the same, points of advice and recommendation. I think and we have to keep going. Definitely, we've got to keep doing the work we're doing. We have mentoring available, all of that. I think the political change. We've all seen that when the government had to respond to the pandemic that has hit us recently, they were able to gather resources and to do something about it. We have a pandemic of youth violence. We have a pandemic of youth violence that requires a response better than we are seeing now or have ever seen. The resources are there to address the problem, I believe, to provide the level of support, whether through the education system or outside of the system, the level of support and intervention needed. The resources are there to do that, but the political will clearly is not there. It's not a priority. And as such, I don't believe we're going to be able to address it, apart from constantly putting plasters on the situation and pray. Of course we pray, of course we have faith in God, but I just feel as I'm grieving a bit today for something that has happened yesterday, I just feel like, you know what, something has to change from higher up. So of course we will keep doing our mentoring, and everybody here is doing. There's fantastic provision available now for every child that needs it. The provision is there now. So if you're a parent listening, listen, from the age of 10 upwards, we're seeing today, there is provision available. Please don't turn your nose up to it. Don't delay. So many parents procrastinate. They contact us and then when we tell them what next steps are, they don't follow up for whatever reason. Listen, if your child needs some support, there's mentoring available. They need that relatable role model. It is available. Let's do that. So God bless you. God bless you.
Errol, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. We've already spoken anyway before this meeting, but just on behalf of everyone that's watching, and I don't know if you can see the comments because you've been driving, but a lot of people are wishing you and your family their heartfelt condolences. I just want to say I love you, bro. You're in my thoughts and my prayers, and in the good times and the bad, we will stand with you. And as I've said, myself and our team are here to help support you and your family during this difficult time. So I want to thank everybody for.
I say, Dave, just remember, I appreciate everyone's prayers, but particularly remember his mom, remember his grandparents, his grandparents in particular, they're elderly, and you know what it's like, family. You don't want them to hear this kind of news at this stage in their lives, They were the first ones that came to my mind as well, the grandparents. He's got a sister, twin sister, his uncles, cousins, so many family. He wasn't a bad kid, and we just want to just pray for them all, please.
Thank you, Errol. Awesome. Yeah. So I want to just thank everybody for their time this afternoon. We will continue to do the work publicly and privately. I want to thank my colleagues that have joined me, Dee Kelly, Rachel Warren, Natalie, Tanaya, Leon, Rev, everyone that has just contributed. It really does take the village to grow the child. And it's hard work. This work is hard work. It's the sharp end of the work, but we do believe and have a hope in God that God will help us and guide us through. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Keep sharing the work, and just thank you for being with us this afternoon.